What's up, Heat fans? Nic Rohloff here on the Heat Report by Chat Sports. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, for your mom, or if you are a mom, happy Mother's Day. But we'll now get into a post-lottery mock draft. As the results are in, the full NBA draft order is determined. The Heat currently have the 15th pick, which is the first pick after the top 14, which is considered the lottery. So Miami is going to have a good chance and a good choice of a player when they are drafting in late June. Obviously, there's going to be questions on if they actually make the pick or not. That's a different discussion for a different day. But we are going to look at some prospects and basically a mock draft on who I think the Heat would take if the draft was tomorrow based on historical trends and players that fit the Miami Heat's need. But the first question I do want to ask you, and this is kind of that thing I just mentioned, will the Heat actually make a pick with the 15th overall selection? If you think they do, type Y for yes. If you think they don't, type N for no. I mean, it's a real question that has to be asked because they could trade it for Donovan Mitchell. They could honestly trade it for a different player, but there is a strong possibility they deal this pick and might not be picking at 15th. I want to know if you think they will draft a player from collegiate or maybe a little overseas action as well at 15. I do want to quickly show the results of the lottery. How about our division rivals being 1-2? It's kind of tough in division. Those don't really matter in the NBA, but the Hawks go from 10-1, Wizards 2, Rockets 3, Spurs 4 and 8, Pistons 5, Hornets 6, Trailblazers 7, Grizzlies 9, and then Jazz, Bulls, OKC Thunder, the Kings, and the Trailblazers round it out. Now, if you didn't know this, I actually do lead our NBA draft coverage on our NBA Now main Chat Sports channel, and I did a mock draft post-lottery, first initial thoughts, and I did want to share it with you guys to show where my head was at for Miami at 15 and what we would be looking at with that 15th overall pick. I had Sarr, Risa Sher, Stephon Castle, Topic, and Rob Dillingham in my top 5. And then went Bazulis, Klingon, Connect, Reed Shepard, Ron Holland to round out the top 10. And then the 4 picks in front of Miami, this is, got to get to 11 through 14 here, Allie. But it's okay. Just keep it going. We have Cody Williams at 11, Kyle Filipowski at 12, Jacoby Walter at 13, and then unfortunately a snipe job in Jared McCain at 14 from Duke, the guard. I love Jared McCain. I think he would be a perfect fit for Miami, but I do think the Blazers would scoop him up with that last pick of the lottery. So then it left us with this, and this would be my top players available for Miami when picking at 15 if the board fell the way I think the board fell. Isaiah Collier is an intriguing prospect. A guard from USC, talented 5-star freshman, was a projected number 1 pick at one point. Da Silva is an interesting name. Devin Carter, the guard from Providence. Kaishan George, can you keep him in the 305? Good freshman from the Hurricanes. And then Ryan Dunn, the forward from Virginia, who is just a defensive menace, would be an intriguing fit for Miami as well. But I do think we could have a Cam Whitmore versus Jaime Jaquez Jr. 2.0 battle if the Heat and the board fell this way. Why, you ask? Well, last year the Heat obviously took Triple J over Whitmore. Whitmore has a very high ceiling, but the Heat needed a veteran guy who was experienced from his days at college to come in and try to help the Heat win now. I think we could be faced with that discussion again because Isaiah Collier at 15 has all the upside in the world and could be an elite point guard in the NBA if everything clicks, and he could be a great 1-2 punch in a pick and roll with Bam Adebayo. But if you're sticking with the win now mentality of Jimmy, Bam, and you're looking to replace Caleb Martin potentially, or just find a more experienced guy that can contribute in year 1 at a more consistent basis, I then could see them going towards a Tristan Da Silva or Devin Carter type player who has had a lot of experience, big moments, tough conferences in the Pac-12 and Big East. It's an intriguing conversation that will be had. Before I give you who I had the Heat picking in this little mock draft simulation, if you will, I'll just let you know we're going to be here to break down all the Miami Heat 2024 NBA draft rumors. We didn't get to do it last year because the Heat were in the finals, and when the season ended, it was like, oh shit, the draft is here in 3 days. But we'll have a full breakdown this year along with trade rumors. We're under 90 subscribers away from 11K. Can we get there on today's video? If we do, I'll shotgun a beer on Monday's show. All right, let's move on to who I did pick for the Miami Heat, and I went with Tristan Da Silva, the forward from Colorado. This is an excellent basketball player, and honestly, if you were to build a Miami Heat basketball player in a lab, Da Silva would absolutely fit a lot of those boxes and would check them off. He was terrific for the Buffaloes of the Pac-12 last year, who barely made the tournament. They were in the last four in, and then Da Silva was one of the main reasons why they picked up a couple wins in this tournament, winning their first four game and also beating Florida in that crazy 199 game as well. Da Silva averaged 16 points a night for Colorado, 5 assists, 2.4 rebounds. But the thing that was the most impressive for me is that he shot 49% from the field and 39.5% from three. He is very, very polished with his offensive game, and that's not the only thing that he is very good at, guys. He can defend. He's lengthy at 6'8". And to me, this could be a Caleb Martin replacement pick, which we'll get to more in just a second. But I do have to show some support and love to Prize Picks for showing love and support to the Heat Report. Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app on the market. They have a first deposit match up to $100 for you right now when you download the app and use code CLNS, or go to the link in the description and comments, prizepicks.com/CLNS. You can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct entries right now. And the reason why Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports app on the market is because they have flash deals and specials for you, whether it be Taco Tuesday, whether it be Flex Friday. And how about this one that they have loaded up for Caitlin Clark's debut in the WNBA regular season? Obviously, she's already played in the preseason on May 14th in just a couple days. Just got to take more than a half a point. Yeah, I think Caitlin Clark, the best woman scorer of all time at the collegiate level, is going to get that in her debut for the Indiana Fever. Take advantage of the deal they're giving you right now. Pair it up with a couple other stat projections and win some money. Turn your hoops knowledge into cash, fellas. You also have the ability to withdraw your money very easily. A lot of things to play with. I mean, Prize Picks is just simply the best. So get started today. Download the app. Use code CLNS to get a first deposit match up to $100. All right, more on Tristan Da Silva here because I really like him. And he isn't the flashy upside pick. And I'll be honest, I was very tempted to make the selection of Isaiah Collier for Miami at 15 because they need a guard off the bench. They could use a guard in replacing Terry Rozier or Tyler Hero because they might not be on the roster come next fall. And Collier has a lot of upside. But I went with a guy who I know is going to help the Heat now, could be a part of the long-term future as well. Older prospect, yes, very similar to Triple J, 22 years old, has been in college for a while. But the thing is, he defends, he can shoot the three, and he will fill a position of need as well. Because what have I told you guys over the past 4 or 5 months? Caleb Martin is not going to be on this roster next year. I'd be stunned. It'd be like a 1% chance if you ask me, because Martin has a player option for $7 million. Some team is going to offer him the full mid-level exception for $13 million a year, probably over 3 years for 39 in total. And the Heat just simply can't respond with a contract of that caliber. So unless Caleb Martin took an extreme discount to stay with Miami, which I don't think he's going to do, then you're going to need to find a new wing guy off the bench that can play defense, that can provide some athleticism, some energy, and Da Silva is that type of player. He defends, he shoots the three very, very well. He would fit in Miami very perfectly, if we're going to be honest, and that's why I think that you could hear his name be called to the Heat if they make a pick at 15 in late June. So after hearing my breakdown on Da Silva and kind of why I went that route, would you draft Tristan Da Silva? One of our friends here at Chat Sports, Patrick Seatman, who hosts the Bulls Report, I told him this is who I picked, and he said that is such a Heat move. So he agrees with me. Now do you. Type Y for yes or type N for no. I also don't want to remind people, this is not the only pick that Miami currently has. They have a second-round pick as well in this draft, the 43rd overall pick to be exact. And I did want to share some prospects that you probably won't hear a lot about in the main media circles, but I think the Heat could target in that second round. some names here that I really like. Collier Ware, the center out of Indiana, is unlikely to be there if you're asking me. I have a first-round grade on him, at least as of now. We'll see if he slips to the second round, but would be a terrific backup center to Bam. He can really protect the rim. Same with Yves Missi, who I also think is a first-round pick, but just in case he slides, maybe he is there at 43. You want to talk about a Heat culture player? Alex Sarr, the forward from UConn. Be intrigued to see if he is there at 43, but out of the Big East, he is a really solid forward that plays basketball the right way. Trey Alexander's an intriguing name. Oh, man, he can really just run an offense. He was terrific for the Creighton Blue Jays over the past couple seasons. Smooth stroke from beyond the arc as well. Freshman Carlton Carrington, guard from Pitt, 6'5", intriguing. If they wanted to go with an upside play in the second round at 43, I think Carrington would be a good guy to stash in your G League for this upcoming year. How about the UC Santa Barbara Gauchos producing A.J. Mitchell? Not the first Gaucho that would play for the Heat. Shout out Gabe Vincent. Mitchell can really score the ball, and I think he would be someone I would be all in on at 43. Same with Mark Sears and Jamal Shead. I think Sears is a first-round talent. We'll see if people agree, and I don't even know if Mark Sears is going to stay in the NBA draft. He might head back to Tuscaloosa. But if he's there at 43, that's a home run pick. A lot of comps to Jalen Brunson. Jamal Shead is also someone that screams Heat culture. 4-year guy at Houston, one of the most winningest players in their program history, defends at an elite level. He would be able to be, I think, your 9th, 10th man off the bench. If you lose DeLon Wright in free agency, Jamal Shead could fill that role off the bench in year one as a second-round pick. And then 2 guys to round it out, Harrison Ingram and Reese Beekman. Fan of Beekman, a little undersized, 6'2", 6'3", but really good defender, smart IQ as well, struggles offensively, but would be another good defensive point guard off the bench. But the main point, and I kind of round out today's video with saying this, who knows if Miami will actually make a pick? Now, they could make a pick at 15, but they might not make one at 43. They could trade that second-round pick in a sweetener deal if they're shipping off Duncan Robinson or shipping off Tyler Hero or something like that. You also can buy second-round picks. So who knows? Maybe Mickey Harrison doesn't want a player. The cap space for Miami, they could use some, I guess, relief, and they sell the second-round pick for however much it goes for. So who knows if Miami takes someone in the second round? I would, because I do think there's some talented players in the second round that can really bring some value to this organization right away. A couple guys I mentioned like Jamal Shead, Mark Sears, Reese Beekman, that I think could benefit the Heat and be on the roster year one. So I'd make a pick at 43 if it's not dealt in another deal for a big-time player. All right, I'll do it for today's show. Make sure you have followed me on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. We are breaking down everything surrounding the Miami Heat. News, rumors, draft, trades. We'll have it all on YouTube as well as on my Twitter. So give me a follow. I'll see you on the next video. Go Heat.